the museum back to life.
You know, people sit out on the front porch hoping people will come by.
Go forth and do good. It's insane. I have the most understanding wife in the world.
I treat everybody the same thing.
Oh, that's the other thing I love about Marietta. It's like a melting pot.
You are listening to Marietta Stories. Each week, veteran podcaster Bill Nowicki brings you the heartwarming, interesting, and fun stories from the people that make the community of Marietta, Georgia, a place to call home. Here's your host, Bill Nowicki.
All right. So I got contact from Hickory Hills Elementary School, so I met with the principal and the coordinator of the Hickory Corner. What a great program. I was so impressed with this, and I know you will be too, and it makes you feel good about living in such a great city, Marietta, Georgia. So I won't take any more of your time, but check out this episode, and thanks to everyone that listens to Marietta Stories.
I'm at Hickory Hills Elementary School, which opened in 1960, which makes you think it's old school, but it's really not because they have a bunch of innovative things. And I have Kristen Beaudin and Natalie, I was going to say Natalie Woods, it's Natalie Wilson from the Hickory Corner.
It is.
And welcome to Marietta Stories Podcast.
Thank you so much. We're so glad you're here today.
And that's Kristen, I should have said. You're the principal of Hickory Hills Elementary. How long have you been the principal?
So it seems like a lifetime. This is starting my 8th year here at Hickory Hills. So I've been here for 8 years, which in principal years is like 475. Something
No,
crazy.
That's crazy. Usually it's like a burnout job.
It is typically, but I think, Hickory Hills is a very special place, and it's you don't get burned out as easily when you feel like you're doing your passion. And I am passionate about public education, and then specifically the work we are doing here at Hickory Hills.
Yeah. And I saw the email Natalie wrote, and it was really cool stuff you guys are doing with the Hickory Corner. If you can kind of talk through it and maybe give some context to how it all gets started.
Yeah, Natalie and I met just a few years ago. At the time, Natalie was a lit coach. She would come in.
A lit coach?
Literacy coach. Oh, okay. So she served the district. Sorry, I'm speaking some of the.
No, that's okay because I'll do the translating for our listeners. Yeah. But yeah, no problem.
She was a lit coach, and she would just come in from time to time and serve our students. And I think kind of instantly we had a connection between the two of us just because we had very similar beliefs personally and educationally about education. And the district made the decision to no longer have a district literacy coach, but to place those literacy coaches in schools specifically serving. And so Natalie was kind of in a limbo situation, and I had a position where I was going to be able to have her come to Hickory Hills and work on something that I thought was super interesting. And she quickly joined us, and we started talking about how cool or what impact could we have on our students and our families if we began to think about how we serve our families in a different way, rather than just your traditional, like, come to the school for a math night, come to your school for a conference. We know that the students at Hickory Hills have some pretty significant needs. Almost 50% of our students are ESOL, so they speak English as a second language. Most of those, I would say probably anywhere between 80 and 85% of those students are from Guatemala. So they come from very poorly educated homes, and they are first-generation students. So they have significant needs. And we were confident in the work that we were doing in the classroom, but we still were not getting the results that we wanted. And we saw students who were dealing with things that are just unimaginable. They, one parent might be here, one parent might still be back in Guatemala. They definitely deal with poverty, addiction. So we began to talk about, like, okay, Natalie, you're in this new role. At that time, I think we called her a family engagement specialist. And we were just thinking of different ways that we could engage our families. So that's how Natalie's work kind of started. So she did that her first year, which was last year. And then we started exploring and talking more about, okay, this is way bigger than just getting our families engaged. At the same time, you're probably aware that at the high school, they were launching a success center or a life center. I toured it, Natalie toured it, and I think like at different times we toured it, and then we just kind of, I don't even feel like I have to speak to Natalie about my ideas because she just knows my heart and we just have very similar beliefs. And so it was just kind of this like, what if we had a life center or something to offer our elementary students so that they don't even need the services once they get to the high school?
So, Natalie, how did you get to be a lit coach?
So I actually started off in elementary school, taught 5th grade, and then decided to try my time at Marietta Middle School. So I taught at Marietta Middle School for 7 or 8 years as a ELA teacher. And
ELA?
English Language Arts reading teacher. So literacy, essentially. Then went back to elementary school, taught there for a year, and this position opened up here with Marietta District Central Office for me to support a couple of different schools as a literacy coach. So I would support the teachers in the classroom in reading and writing instruction.
So tell me about this special relationship that Kristen talked about. Did it just start all of a sudden and you guys would just start going back and forth with the ideas?
Well, actually, Kristen was nice enough to allow our district coaches to be housed here. So since we were all at different schools, we didn't have a home. And Kristen opened up one of her classrooms to allow all of us to, when we come together to create products, to have meetings, that kind of thing, we could use her classroom. From that, all of us got to know Kristen. And if you know Kristen, you know that she's like the more the merrier, everyone's family. So that is the kind of environment she creates. So that's what would happen. I started here, and we started the professional working relationship, and then the friendship. And then as my position was transforming to more of a local school position, she and I talked about, hey, I could see her heart and what she's done here at Hickory Hills, and I just thought there's a missing component, and that's when we kind of kept going back and forth, and it developed into what she just told you.
Well, to me, when I hear what you're saying, and probably the listeners will think the same thing, is it was so much easier when we set really firm boundaries, and you don't have to worry about all this stuff when they leave here, and it makes your life much simpler, especially when you're trying to teach a bunch of kids and then do all these other things. Was it like you were jumping off a cliff trying to start this? Because once you start in that blurring those lines, it gets a little messy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does, but it's, I'm a problem solver. I've always been that way. So once we identified that our kids had these issues, and if you're passionate about your students and you care anything about them, you can't just cut it off in the school doors or in the school building. So yeah, I mean, we've uncovered lots of more issues, but every single one we've met with a solution because we want our students to have the best chance at being a graduate of Marietta High School. And so we're trying to take away layer by layer every single obstacle that they face. So yeah, I guess it has been messy, but it's a good messy because we've been able to do new things, try new things, and so it's been great.
Right. You agree?
Absolutely. I mean, when you don't know what you don't know, it kind of gives you more courage, actually, where you're just like, let's just do this and let's make it happen. And I think both Kristen and I are very, we're risk takers to some degree, and we have confidence in the fact that, like she said, if there's a problem, we can figure out how to solve it, or at least be creative in how we can solve it, and we're not afraid to try it. And then if it fails, we can adjust our sails, Right.
So tell me, let's go through all the elements of the Hickory Corner, and you can tell me a little bit about each of them.
Sure. So there's 4 main components. The first one is the mentoring corner. I actually had an experience at my church. Buckhead Church has a mentoring program with an Atlanta public school, and they supply 600 plus mentors for every student in that school. And I also knew that Kristen, the year before I came on board, had asked her teachers to be mentors because she saw the value and the need for it. So taking that idea of what I saw at Buckhead Church, I decided, hey, let's try to do mentors in the community to come into the school and help support our kids instead of putting it on the teachers to add that extra layer of stress and time and demands on them. Kristen loved the idea. We talked and asked and prayed for 50 mentors, and thanks to social media, we got 125 last year. And so it kind of, like you said, it was like jumping off a cliff. It kind of grew, and it was like, whoa, we thought we were just going to be doing 50. Now we have 125. But our kids need it. So we were able to really provide so many of our students with relationships that help them prosper.
So you had the big idea, it sounds like, too, and that helped. Talk about the social media aspect of that.
So I went and made a post one day. I just said on Facebook. I said, Natalie came to me and said, I want 50 mentors. And so we started with just friends, and we had about 15 or 20. And I was like, well, that's not okay. We need more than that. So I'm notorious for kind of pouring my heart out about our school on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page. So I just did a post saying, hey, we have these wonderful kids, these wonderful, amazing kids who need an adult in their lives. They might have one, they might not, but they need another one. And very quickly, like my messenger just started like I would have 10 messages, 15 messages, and then you look at the little button and it would say shared 12 times. So then my friends who are educators, and Natalie shared it, and then she had people share it. So it just kind of went from there. She will tell you now, I think this year we have 181 mentors. So it's continuing to grow, and it's literally word of mouth and Facebook.
Give me an example how you would use a mentor, and how old are your kids?
So our kids, every single person, I always say this, every single person in this building has been on the earth 10, there's a few 11-year-olds, 10 years or less. So they're 5 to 10. We have a few 11-year-olds. We use our mentors. We ask for a 1 hour a month commitment. Is it 1 hour a month still, Natalie? 1 hour a month commitment. I'm notorious as a leader as having big ideas. So I said to Natalie, I don't really care what they do with them when they come, as long as they're building a relationship and investing in them. So what I want is positive, strong males and females, grandmothers, granddaddies, college kids, to just come and invest in a child, so that these kids know there's somebody that I can turn to should I have a problem. So they do everything from playing a game of Go Fish to reading, doing math homework. They play basketball. We just really ask that they get to know the child and go from there. My mother, my father, my sister, my brother-in-law, and a couple of my nieces are all mentors here. Natalie's husband is a mentor here. So it really, when Natalie said earlier, I really do believe that this place is a family, and family doesn't always look like what your traditional family looks like. We really foster the mentor relationship to be that way too. It's an older brother, an older sister, a mom, or a dad. We do not confine it to you have to come on Mondays from 8 to 9, because I think that's what limits people from wanting to help. I believe people are innately good still, and they want to help if they know there's a need. And so we tell our teachers that you are to be flexible, and if a mentor tells you they can come Tuesday at 10 o'clock, they're coming Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And if they want to come 15 minutes 4 times a month, because that's all they can commit to, then they're doing that too. So it's...
Well, how do they control the classroom, though? If you're coming in there and say, my mentor's here, do they get to leave in the middle of class?
They do. We do ask the mentors to schedule it with the teacher. So the mentor knows who comes in. They know when they're going to come. It's real discreet. Schools are not like it was even 5 years ago. It's pretty much a door of people coming and going a lot. Most of our mentors, I will tell you, reach out to the teacher and say, I have these 6 times that I could come. Which ones would work best? We have very few situations where somebody's like, I can only come at a super narrow time. So we really haven't had that issue a lot. It's the teachers and the mentors work it out, and they figure out how to make it work.
Great. And Natalie, have you seen changes in children?
Yes. I mean, there are so many stories, actually, we find out through our mentors that kids have been abused. We find out that kids' electricity have been turned off. We have seen kids calm down and become maybe a little more responsible and mature in their schoolwork. Maybe a little more respectful. We have kids who've opened up a lot more and been more confident because of their mentor. I'm thinking of one in particular of a little girl who's super quiet in class, but then she comes alive when her mentor is here. And she requested that her mentor see her over the summer, almost like a panic kind of, what's going to happen, summer's here. So there really are so many stories of our kids being impacted impacted in different ways from that mentoring relationship, far more than what we thought was possible when we first started.
Yeah, and that seems like it fuels you guys, because I know this does take work, but it sounds like that's fuel to keep you going.
It does. I mean, the principalship is a very lonely position at times. I feel like I wear the weight of 387 children, 64 teachers, all their moms, all their dads. So having that network of that, if I know there's a child that has a need, or that I just see them get out of the car in the morning and they're off, and I can go to Natalie and say, Natalie, I saw Kristen this morning. She's off. Is her mentor coming this week? Natalie can reach out. The teacher can reach out, and they can come in. My own personal dad is mentoring a child that is in foster care, and there's been some changes in his situation in the past 2 weeks. The foster mom texted me that evening. I called my dad and said, you need to come tomorrow. There's a court date. You have to be here. And the child got out of the car. I said, hey, my dad's going to be here today. Just hang tight. He was a completely different child by that afternoon. Back on track. He just was able to talk about some things and just have somebody love and invest in him outside of the people in his home.
Okay, it's so cool. I mean, you get me choked up, but just knowing that someone's noticing that things about kids. I mean, it's so hard when you have all those kids. It's hard for me to believe that you can track these kids' emotions and stuff. But really, if you want to make an impact in their lives, that's part of education, right? You got to go to that level.
You know, Johnny Walker Realty is a big part of Marietta Stories podcast, and their real estate agents are what makes that a great company. And Carrie Cox and Johnny Walker get the best folks. And one of those people is Carolyn Rambo Dawson, who cares about her clients, of course.
I've been doing it for 13 years. I love meeting new people. I love it. I love everything about it.
But the folks work together at Johnny Walker Realty.
Carrie is the broker. He is there all hours of the day and night with an answer for us if we have a question, and the other agents are like family.
And speaking of family, her family goes way back in Marietta. I'm talking 5 generations.
And my father was an orthodontist right off the square in Marietta. My husband said, if I can go to an orthodontist that tortured me for 2.5 years and end up marrying his daughter and love him as much as I do, he must have done something right.
Thank you, Carolyn Rambo Dawson, and all the other real estate agents, and Carrie and Johnny of Johnny Walker Realty. You can reach them at johnnywalkerrealty.com. Find them at 262 Church Street, just down from the square. Give them a call, 678-626-0403. Now back to the show.
I think the single most important factor that a teacher can do and a school can do is to build relationships with their children. I can teach anybody how to teach. I cannot teach you how to love and respect and build a relationship. And I also know if you talk to children and you ask them for their success story of what makes them successful or what they enjoyed about school, I would bet almost every single time they come back to tell you about a relationship with a teacher, a friend, a mentor. So the teachers in this building know that is my charge to them. Like, you get to know those kids. If you can't do it, you find somebody that can. So yes, I do know my kids really well. I know most of them on a first name basis, but I do miss kids occasionally. And I'm confident in our teachers that Natalie gets emails daily of, hey, I need you to check on this kid. Here's what's going on. It's all about the culture that we've built, and we're working it now through the corner, just on a broader scale. That instead of just talking about the problems, there's solutions of, all right, we have identified our kids need more positive adults in their lives. They don't have anybody.
Yeah. And I was going to mention, I recently talked to the 6th graders, our past 5th graders, and I asked them what was something that you wish Hickory Hills had taught you while you were here. I asked them also about the impact, and so many of them said mentors. But when I asked them about what is it that you wish we had taught you while you were here, so many of them actually said life lessons, how to be confident, what to do when something hard happens in life. Just little things that you don't realize at 6th grade they really are already thinking about. And it made me a little sad that those were the 6th graders, because now we don't have our hands on them. But on the flip side, I thought that's exactly why our mentors are here, because they can teach the life lessons. They can teach them what to do when hard things happen in life. And that's what our teachers would love to do, but they just don't have the capacity to do it.
So cool. Now tell me some more elements of the corner. Is it mentoring
Right. Our next one is the counseling corner. So our counseling corner consists of 1.5 counselors, and they meet with kids for various like small groups, one-on-one meetings. They do the guidance lessons, things like that. We also have now we have partnered with Cobb County Service Board. I think they offer a therapist here. She does meet with kids. About 8 are right now on her caseload for things that are just a little more severe than what our counselors are, can teach and support our kids with. So we offer the on-site therapy for them now too. Then in addition, we realized that through a survey, we asked our kids, hey, do you ever feel too frustrated? Do you ever feel too stressed? Things like that. What do you do? Do you want to learn tools? They said yes. About 60% of them said they want to know what to do when they are too frustrated.
This are kids 5 to 10?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I need some of that.
Yeah,
When is it?
3rd grade to 5th grade were the population that I asked. And they all said yes. So now we're starting to do yoga in our PE classes. And really the yoga is to teach them how to focus, how to breathe, and how to stay present. So when they get overwhelmed with their anxiety or overwhelmed with their thoughts, that they have techniques and tools to use throughout the day and at home. So I think that kind of covers the whole counseling corner.
Cool. What about those old school parents, the ones that say they just need to go to church and pray and do whatever? That's probably wasn't appropriate, but
I agree. We were concerned about that. So Natalie came because, believe it or not,
yoga I think might cross the boundary there.
As progressive as I am still pretty old school when it comes to things like that. So I would probably lean more towards what you're describing. But here's what I know is that the families in our school are 100% confident in us because of the relationships we've built. It is rare that I have a parent complain, ask questions. So on the front end, we provided hey, families, here's what we know. Our kids are telling us that they don't know what to do when they're upset. Our yoga is not like your traditional yoga where you're in a studio and it's more focused. It's a kid-friendly program. They use it in Decatur City schools. She is trained by teachers. It's also in DeKalb County schools. So I actually did not get one complaint. We sent a letter home, said, let me know if you want to talk about it. And all I got was positive feedback of, oh my goodness, my children are figuring out just ways to, when they get upset, just take a deep breath, focus. And that's really how she framed it more, was how to help you as a student. And in your classrooms, what can you do when you get so frustrated that you can't think clearly? I thought like you, oh goodness, I'm going to be on
now,
the front.
For the record, I don't think that way.
Yeah.
It's just that I know people that are listening.
Yeah. And I thought I'm going to be on the front of the Marietta Daily Journal, and it's not going to be for a good thing. But actually, it's been very positive. Families are excited. It is through our PE class. We invited parents, if they wanted to come and watch, that they could come and watch. And she'll be back, I think, about once a month, every other month, for the remainder of the school year through PE.
Cool. And it sounds like you kind of flipped the script, because when I was going to school, it was about how can I get these kids to sit still for a certain amount of time, and all that kind of structure. We need to teach these kids this, and now this seems like you flipped the script in terms of what does the kid need, getting them to know how to be a good citizen, a good whatever. But it does take a lot of work.
It does. They have to learn how to regulate their emotions. I think our whole, society would benefit if all the adults knew how to regulate emotions.
Got some of that action going on.
Right. So we're just trying to make sure our kids know that. We also offer a play therapy room, and the play therapy room is used by our counselors and the therapist. Our mentors can use it, but we also have turned a portion of it into a calm down corner for the kids who haven't yet learned how to regulate their emotions, and they either explode or they completely shut down. And so we offer various types of calming music, fidget sticks, things like that, to just kind of let them disconnect, calm down, and then they can integrate back into the classroom. And that has been super successful. I'm amazed at how the kids are transformed from it. So,
yeah, even it seems like when they're moving and doing and writing, it helps get them out of their when you sit them there in a chair or whatever, it's very hard. But if you got them doing something, it's probably easier.
It totally is. I mean, I think kids today are just different. They expect to be engaged. They expect quick results. And so we're just trying to stay up with where they are and trying to stay ahead of the game. But we definitely encourage our teachers. Natalie just talked about the Calm Down Corner. Natalie's working with any classroom teacher that wants to create one in their room. We will buy the fidget spinners. We will buy the things that you need if you want that in your room. Many teachers have already reached out to Natalie that they want that. Most of our classrooms look more like something you would find in your living room with some seating in the middle. We know that the homes that many of our children go home to are chaotic and don't have the things that we would hope that most children are experienced. Natalie's working on that too. We have soft lighting, the soft music in classrooms, flexible seating, just so that they know that this is a safe place to learn and make mistakes.
Cool. Now tell me you must have an army of people to help you besides just the mentors, volunteer-wise here.
We have great parents. Natalie also, she'll talk about a little bit more in the corner. We have started a Hispanic coffee talk, and it's once a month. Once a quarter. Natalie is really reaching out to our Hispanic families because they're not always the most engaged here at Hickory Hills. And so we're working really hard to, again, make them feel safe and warm and like they're part and that they can have a say and a voice in what we're doing for their children. So we do the Hispanic coffee talks. We have a great PTA. They put on a huge fall festival last night, but I can make a phone call and have 20 parents in my office in 15 to 20 minutes of what do you need. I have to just talk a little bit about our central office because I know it's not always talked about, but Grant Rivera and Belinda Brazil, I have the utmost respect for them because of the way that they respect me and allow me to lead in a way based on what I know my kids need. So I can pick up the phone call and have Grant on the phone in 2 minutes. A perfect example is I called him yesterday with an issue that I'm having or just something that didn't make sense to me. And I called him at 10 o'clock. By 1 o'clock, I had an appointment, and he will be with his entire executive cabinet in my office at 2:30 this afternoon, helping me problem solve of how can I address this? So it definitely takes a huge village. I grew up in Cobb County, so a lot of my support system are former educators who either taught me, my very own kindergarten teacher volunteers here, like my personal kindergarten teacher, and they've networked out. It really is, I'll tell you, when you walk in the doors of Hickory Hills, you fall in love, and then they start telling people, and that's just how we keep getting more and more.
So cool.
The Marietta community really is, it is such a small, tight-knit, word-of-mouth, caring community. The amount of people who have come because they were alumni here, because their kids went to school here, they're retirees from around the neighborhoods, and they play tennis with other people who are around the neighborhood, and they know so-and-so and so-and-so, and we have several people from the NDJ who are mentors, just the partners in the community. It's just amazing, and I think I would love to replicate this at so many schools around the country, and then I think, but I don't know if they have a Marietta, right? It's just, it's an amazing thing to see how they step up for the different things that we need and we ask for. So that's just been a huge part of how we can do what we can do. I coordinate it all, but it doesn't happen because of me. I just am coordinating the people who are stepping up to fill those spots.
Great. And it sounds like you're going to slow down from here on out and not create anything new. Is that true, Kristen?
If you know a teeny bit about me, I am a little bit neurotic and a whole lot competitive. So we still have a lot of work to do at Hickory Hills.
What are some of the things that are running around in your head?
So this year, a few new things is we have some definite interventions and strategies to support our English language learners. When you look at the whole...
Biggest need
is reading. It's our biggest need. And when you look at the whole picture of our test scores, they don't paint the greatest, wonderful picture. But what I know about the kids at Hickory Hills, who I know intimately, is they're great kids with a lot of opportunities. So we have System 44 that we have a lab now where it's an intensive reading program that's working with those students who are 2 or more grade levels below in reading to get them up on grade level. We also found out through our survey that many of our children go home to homes where there is no one to help them with homework. So we restructured our entire specials, which is PE, art, music, dance, and drama. We reworked that schedule to free up those teachers in the the afternoon, and they run a learning lab. So we have on-site homework help from 1 to 3 every single afternoon, targeting specific groups. What we know is kids need to read more, but you need to be reading to someone or someone, they're kids, so they need someone to be responsible that you're actually reading. So many of our homes, the families, they're illiterate or they don't have anyone that can read or write in English. So those children can have a quiet place during the day to go and read, and there's an adult like their art teacher who may sit with them and just talk to them about what they're reading. So we have that going on this year. We have a partnership with Columbia University and their Teachers College, and they they send 2 trainers 10 times during the year who come in. They're professional developers, and they coach and work with our teachers on reading and writing instruction. So we're looking at that and what we can do. We're constantly looking at data at where are our students performing and what is the missing piece and what do we need to do to get them there. Natalie and I are always dreaming up. Yesterday we were on the phone. She'll kill me probably for sharing this. We want to do some things to target some of our preschoolers. So the children in the home that are 3 and 4, we definitely need to get more children into the early learning center.
So by the time they show up,
they're ready to learn. So we have a plan of how we're going to start targeting them and bringing them into the mix. We read in the park with our students. So anytime there's a break, we meet them where they are, and we take the teachers to them and we read with them so that they don't go a full week without seeing our faces. Natalie, what are some of the other things that we've got planned?
All right, you're overwhelmed me just a little bit, but keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Well, I'm trying to think. The digital dragon. So another thing that we noticed was that our kids don't have computer access or laptops at home. And although we've been able to supply our kids with one-to-one computers here at school, we wanted to be able to expose them to that at home. So we started Digital Dragons. It's every other Tuesdays from 5 to 7, where we open up our computer lab and say, hey, you come in and use the computers here to do your work, to do research. We open it up to the parents in case the parents want to use it. We've had several Spanish-speaking parents come and really just try to learn English while using the computers, going on their YouTube, going on different programs, helping with basic Microsoft email, that kind of thing. And then we're going to expand that next semester to offer math tutors, because that's another area that a lot of our parents are like, what, math? I don't know past 2nd grade how to help our kids. So we are connecting and partnering with some of the high schoolers at Walker and at Marietta High School to offer some math tutors on those Digital Dragon nights too.
All right, man. You guys ready to take a breath? I mean, there's a lot going on here at Hickory Hills, but it's just so cool. And I interviewed Grant last year, and he's inspirational to you guys, which you talked about that, but he also does the work to allow you to lead your school, and it sounds like it's really making a difference. I saw an article, I think, in the MDJ about the scores going up in Marietta City.
Yeah, and Grant, I can't say enough good things about him and the work that he's doing in Marietta City. He says, to quote him, he hires the very best of the best to lead in his schools. But what I love about him is that he allows us to lead. He allows us to know what the needs of our schools are and develop a plan. He tells me no very little. He might say, think about it in another way, but I don't even know that he's done that, and I've never heard no. What I do hear is, let's give it a try. Let's see how it works. What do you need? What can I help you with? He is just so respectful of me as a leader and his entire cabinet, and just so helpful in allowing us to build what we want to build here at our school.
Well, so cool. Anything else? I mean, I don't know if I think we touched on everything, but if you had last word, Kristen or Natalie? Let me start with Natalie. I'll give Kristen the last word.
No, I am super excited just really to share our story, because although lots of different schools across the country are probably doing a version of this, what it looks like, we're really one of the first, I think, to make this more of a structured hub for our kids and to really seek out the needs. And now I look at it and I think it's not only like an honor to be a part of it, but it's a responsibility to help connect our communities more with our schools and our students, and then also connect resources with our students. Hence why we called it the Corner, because we want to be that connection between the kids and opportunities that they might not other get a chance to have. So we're super excited. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. All right, Kristen, last word.
Yeah, just Natalie nailed it. We are super excited about the work here, thankful for you and that you're able to get our story out. If there was anything that anybody in Marietta or in the community heard that sparked interest with them, or they think, goodness, I could really be an asset, or I would love to be a mentor or volunteer at Hickory Hills, I would just ask that they reach out to either Natalie or myself, because it's, like I said many times today, it's a special, special place, and I wish that everybody had the opportunity to be a part of it.
Great, and I'll have the links to whatever you give me, but what's the easiest way, just the top of your head, to get a hold of you guys?
Calling the school, 770-429-3125, or I can be reached at email, which is kbeaudin at marietta-city.k12.ga.us.
Great. And from all the folks, I would say, and just through me, I would say thanks so much for what you guys do, because this is critically important, and the story, like you said, doesn't get out unless we tell it. So thank you so much.
Please help out Hickory Hills Elementary School. They need mentors. They need people that care about this community and are going to make a difference. I mean, these kids are going to grow up, and we want to keep Marietta strong. So check out Hickory Hills Elementary. I have all the links in the show notes.